The Bible was written by about 40 different people, but the true author was God. Those who wrote the books of the Bible were inspired by God, 2 Peter 1, 20-21. It consists of 66 books recognized and accepted by Christians. That's why we say the Bible is the Word of God. The Bible's authors lived over about 1500 years, in Israel and various other countries. They had very different cultures and ways of life, but the message of all the books of the Bible is the same. God guided the words of each Bible author to convey His word to the world. According to some scholars, the Bible, as we know it today, with its divisions of chapters and books, was compiled between 1200 and 1600 AD. The authors of the various books of the Bible had something in common. They all proclaimed the same God, despite different perspectives and settings, but spoke about the one true God. The Bible, despite being written over a large span of centuries, shows us an interesting array of literary styles and personality styles. But not many books in the Bible clearly name their author. The books of the Bible have one author per book. For example, the book of James was written by James, the brother of Jesus. One author for several books. Paul, for instance, wrote 13 books of the Bible. Various authors for one book. The book of Psalms is a collection of poems written by different people, such as David, Solomon, Moses, and various priests. One author and one editor. The book of Deuteronomy is a collection of Moses' sermons, but the account of his death at the end of the book suggests that someone later organized and completed the information. Unknown author. Few books of the Bible have no recognized author. No one knows who wrote Job, and the authorship of the book of Hebrews is much debated. In what language was the Bible originally written? It was written in Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic. The Old Testament was mostly written in Hebrew because it was the official language of the Hebrews, currently the official language of the State of Israel, and only a few portions were written in Aramaic. The New Testament was written mostly in the Greek language. Why was the Bible written? So that God can share His story, that His word be read, meditated upon, and lived by people. The Bible contains studies, valuable teachings for human life, and brings the greatest proof of love that humans will never be able to conceive. The coming of Jesus and His sacrifice, the Son of God, for all humanity. That's why the primary purpose of the Bible is not just to increase our knowledge but to transform our lives. A very curious fact is that, although all Bible authors had their own concept of the things happening around them, they were still moved by the Lord to put the right words, without errors, and approved by the Lord Himself. 2 Samuel 23. 2. Deuteronomy 4. 2. 2 Peter 1. 20-21. 1 Corinthians 2:13. Another curious fact is that, as the Bible was inspired by God, it reveals to us the will of the Creator, His attributes, and, most importantly, the relationship with humanity, John 3:16, John 1:18. So, God Himself chose to reveal Himself to us through His Word, a written book, Matthew 5:18, Romans 15:4, allowing us to know Him and even cared to ensure there was no use of erroneous words, Revelation 22:18-19, Hebrews 4:12. Therefore, the Bible, written by ordinary men, inspired by the one and only true God, Romans 16:25-27, allows anyone to find this God, John 6:68-69, and learn about Jesus, His Son, who died for each of us, but salvation is through Him, 1 Corinthians 15:3-4, Romans 10:8-10. How do we know that the books of the Bible are not a forgery? Some people suggest that the Bible was written or modified much later, for political reasons. But there is much evidence that suggests that the books of the Bible are authentic and written by those who claim to be many ancient copies, compared to other ancient books accepted as authentic. The books of the Bible have many more ancient copies found. This means they were not written long after. Exact copies. Comparing the oldest copies of the Bible with the most recent ones, the text is almost identical, except for some grammar and spelling errors. More than 99% of the text is the same. This proves that the Bible has not been modified. Correct information. Usually, a forgery contains many errors in geography, customs of the time, etc. The books of the Bible do not present this type of errors.